Evening, folks. It's John Pettipas doing a good late afternoon, I should say. It's 5:30 evening, supper hour. It's Tuesday, the first day of June, 2022. The video I'm about to do is a tribute to Georgina Casey. Now, Georgina Casey died a few days ago. Actually, it was late last week, about 4 days ago now. And she's going to be buried tomorrow morning, Wednesday, the 22nd day of June, 2022. She'll be waked at St. Peter's Catholic Church here in Tracadie. St. Peter's Catholic Church in Tracadie, Antigonish County, Nova Scotia. Underline the county, Antigonish County, Nova Scotia. And her wake visitation will be from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and the funeral service will follow right in the church at 11 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. Again, Wednesday, which is will be the 22nd day of June 2022. And she was a wonderful lady. She was, how to get to know Georgina. Georgina was Father Donnelly, the saintly Father Donnelly. The parish hall in Tracadie is named Monsignor Donnelly Hall, and rightly so. That's a building that has somebody's name on it that deserves to have it on. He was a wonderful priest. He did my first communion, first confession, confirmation, baptized by Father Nash. That's a long time ago. I don't remember that one. I was just a wee little baby then. Anyway, he wonderful guy. I was an altar boy with Father Donnelly, and he helped me out to do office work when he gave me a calculator. When I first went in business, he gave me a calculator, and he said you can put it, you can maybe build a little stand and put it in the counter so it doesn't slide. You're adding up stuff. That would have been back in February, March of 1976, and then he did all my masses. So you go to the door and give the masses and the name of the mass and the money for the mass, and a mass offering, and say, okay, the mass holy offering of the Holy Mass, expression that I'll see Father gets it, and she'd make note of the name, but actually I'd have the name written down with the money, and the offering of the Holy Mass, that was the expression that she had. And she was Father Donnelly's housekeeper. He was, when he died, he went to heaven at 98 years old, born in Edinburgh, Scotland, of Irish ancestry. His parents were over there, and they were from Ireland, went to Scotland for the coal mines, and when the lovely coastal coal mine community of Glace Bay had lots of mines to go, they went to a place called New Aberdeen, the lovely community of New Aberdeen and the beautiful coal mine community of Glace Bay, and he became a priest. His father was killed in a mining accident, and he was the oldest in the family at 12 years old. He lost his leg, was run over by a coal cart that broke loose. I think it was actually donkeys and mules hauling a coal cart up. And that being turn of the century. And it was 2005 when he died. He was 98, so he would have been about 1910 approximately. And he was a 12-year-old boy, and he was, mother never married again. He was 12 years old. I seen a picture of him at Martin Donnelly was youngest. Martin was just a little baby, wee little baby, and his mother's, that was tradition. And after the funeral, the widow would have picture taken of the family. And there was a Catholic nun, Rose. In fact, Martin and his wife had 4 kids, Barry and Brian and Rosemary and Paula. Anyway, Brian, his aunt, actually sister Rose. Rosemary's named after her father's sister Rose, that was a Catholic nun. So there was 2 religious nun family, Catholic nun of long service and Father Donnelly. So Father Donnelly used to say all my masses, and she was a jolly, lovely lady. And she takes, and she wasn't anorexic. She was always to go to the door. I can remember probably 3/4 of the time I went to that door, she was cooking something. She was a wonderful cook. And I went to a funeral. I'm going on a little bit length of time here. I went to a funeral in Port Hawkesbury. I'll tell you who this was, the late Cedric Hughes. And that would have been in probably about 2009, 2010. And they waked him one night at Green's Funeral Home. And the following morning, he was going to be at St. Anne's Parish in Torburn, where there's a lot of uses. And Catherine was standing there. And I said, St. Anne's, Torburn. Father Donnelly was a priest for what? Almost 70 years. Oh, it was 98. Yes, he was a priest for 70 years, or the only priest for 70 years. 70 or 71 years. And they take, and anyway, I said to her, Father Donnelly had mentioned to me, the first, he was a curate. That's like he was an ordained priest, more than a deacon. Deacons are important too, but they didn't have, the bishop didn't have enough parishes to give him his own parish. And the first parish, after 17 years of being a priest, he was assigned to, is on his own, was St. Anne's Parish in Torburn, Pictou County, which interestingly was a coal mining town as well, a coal mining community. And it was his first parish. And so I said, Father Donnelly was an altar boy with Tracadie. That was his first parish, St. Anne's Parish. And the daughter was standing by Catherine, Cedric Hughes' widow, and supporting the mother. Mother wasn't fine for him, but oldest daughter with the mother. And she smiled and she gestured with a hand. John, it's Father Robert Donnelly that married us. Father Robert Donnelly married him. When I got home that evening, I phoned up Georgina and told her. And she remembered the wedding. It was 1950, and they were only there till 1951. She had a fantastic memory. Her mind was sharp and clear. I visited a nursing home a number of times. She had mobility issues late in life, but she wanted to give the home in Tracadie, which Father Donnelly was a fantastic priest. People gave so well because he was so respectful and careful of other people's money. He was a remarkable man. He was only in 4 parishes and his whole priesthood, active priesthood. And first would be St. Anne's in Torburn. He built a parish from scratch in Westmount, the Spanish Missions Church. He said, we didn't use tiles though on the roof, the Spanish tiles. We used regular shingles because engineer wouldn't guarantee would hold up in the freezing hot in the winters. But he literally built a parish from scratch. That was the capacity of him. And he was sent in another parish. The bishop always put him in a parish that needed a lot of work. Tracadie was the first parish. This parish needs a lot of work now, but at the time it didn't. And it was the first parish he was ever assigned to. 4 parishes of active ministry, full-time ministry. He retired in the 70s. That didn't need a lot of work, and he did siding on the church. I think the parish hall, not mistaken, the new that bears his name came under him. All the stonework in the cemetery, and he was a remark. But he was such a hard-working, sincere guy that people gave and gave generously. And he certainly was not a rich man by any means. I think the most he ever made was $6,500, $7,000 as a priest a year. And a lot of people helped out and built the house. And when he passed on, Georgina got married late in life to a Casey gentleman from East Harbour area, who predeceases her. And he left her the house, rightly so. And she lived in it for a long time. And she wanted that house to go to refugees. She was a very, not just Christian or Catholic in name. Georgina was a wonderful Christian lady by virtue. She wanted a house to go to refugees, but refugee family, but for some reason it didn't work out, and it's been sold to a nice older couple that bought it about 1.5 years ago. But she was a wonderful lady. She was always jolly and pleasant, and she was born in Cape Breton. And she takes her mother, I understand, worked as a housekeeper with Father Donnelly. And I don't know why the mother died, if it was cancer or heart. Her mother died young, and she was a teenager. And she loyally stuck with Father Donnelly every parish she was in. And she was a remarkable lady. Georgina, married name was Casey, and there's no obituary in today's paper, so I'm doing this without the benefit of obituary, but Father Donnelly was a wonderful gentleman, fantastic priest, remarkable gentleman in his own right, and she was a wonderful lady. And with that, we say a prayer for her. We'll say the Hail Mary. Hail Mary, full of grace, blessed art thee among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, thy baby Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. And Georgina, we're certain, is in heaven now with Father Donnelly and many. She's the last surviving member of her family. So her mother died young, and she stuck with Father Donnelly as a teenager and went everywhere. And she served the people well. She was a very resourceful lady. He was extremely kind and good. and frugal. If somebody gave them some deer meat or fish, what they couldn't eat, I remember, last little comment, I remember standing at the noon hour bus, the 5 o'clock bus to Katie Lyons School to Trackety. It was Jimmy Grant's store in Monastery. Jimmy and Margaret Grant, and he came in to buy a little bit of salt, and he explained somebody gave him some fish, and he was going to salt the rest of it for the winter. And I remember Jimmy Grant, the merchant, not Jimmy Grant, a wonderful gentleman, Jimmy Grant, the merchant, come up with a little bag of salt, and he said, there's no charge for his father. He said, thank you. He was a wonder, but she was a wonderful lady, and pray for her. And her funeral, again, is tomorrow morning, St. Peter's Parish, Trackety, which she served so well at, and served very well everywhere she was, and chose to retire at Trackety. At 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock in the morning is the wake, and in the funeral, and right in the church, St. Peter's Parish, and her funeral mass will be 11 o'clock tomorrow morning at St. Peter's Parish tomorrow, Wednesday, the 22nd day of June 2022. And Georgina was the Cape Bretoner, and I can give Georgina the last word. Georgina was the Cape Bretoner, and Georgina represented the very best of Cape Breton. Kind, patient, understanding, good. Georgina represented the very best of Cape Breton. So what would you call her? Father Donnelly, that also chose track and retire in. Loved Derry, and the people loved him. Respect was mutual. They take, and both Father Donnelly and Georgina, what you call first generation mainlanders. And I believe she's going to be buried in Trackety tomorrow. So she'll be buried in mainland soil. But she was a Cape Bretoner at heart. Good, kind. There's lots of wonderful, good, kind people in mainland too. But Cape Bretoners are special in my heart. Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia. Thank you very much. All the best. Bye for now.